Hello and welcome everyone to our 2022 SummerSlam live show. My name is Lina Gerard and I have been the executive director of Best Foundation for the past several years. We are very excited to host the show for the third year in a row. Thank you so much for joining us, for supporting our mission and the talented students you will see perform today. This week, I'm handing over the duties of the executive director position to our newest colleague, Vanya Zlatova, who I am very happy to introduce to you today. So, welcome, Vanya.
Thank you, Lina, and welcome everyone to SummerSlam 2022 live show. It's a great honor to join Best Family. Our foundation has a clear and noble mission, and I am proud to have the opportunity to help in its development. I am inspired by the positive changes our students are experiencing, and I am glad that best friends and like minded people are so many and they're increasing continuously. Thank you all for being with us today. And please remember, your support is significant, and I invite you to be generous today because you are our angels and the mighty power.
Thank you, Vanya. We definitely make significant changes in our students' lives. We hope. That's what we hear from them. And I believe tonight will perhaps improve our fundraising record from last year. To any of our first time listeners who are joining us today or this morning, if you're in the States, or tonight in Bulgaria, and who are not familiar with what we do, BEST stands for Bulgarian English Speech and Debate Tournaments. We were established in 2013, and we provide English language learners in Bulgaria the chance to come together and pursue personal growth through English language speech and debate competitions. We aim to provide students to think critically, express themselves freely, and create a dynamic community that truly cares about the success and future of the country of Bulgaria. Before we begin with tonight's performances, it's my honor to introduce the Master of Ceremonies for tonight, Julia Lynch. Julia is a Fulbright English teaching assistant in Bulgaria. She's stationed in Guillaume Foreign Language High School in Dobrich since last year. She's been part of Best Foundation's management team as our debate coordinator. And more importantly, she was recently the camp director for this year's debate summer camp. So without further ado, let's welcome Julia.
Thank you so much, Lena, Vanya, and everyone here who's joining us today for the third annual Best Summer Slam. I'm so excited to be here and serve as your MC. Over the past year, I really have been welcomed into the Best community as both the debate coordinator, but also a coach at my own high school, which has just been incredible. Best was actually one of the main reasons why I came to Bulgaria. With my background in speech and debate, I was really excited and looking forward to an opportunity to be able to work on the other side of things. And it was able to give me an opportunity to discover who I am and my passions, and being able to help other kids do that here in Bulgaria is just a life dream. So thankful to Best for all of that opportunity for both my students and students all across the country. And yes, thank you again for being here tonight. So as Lena mentioned, the Summer Slam is an awesome opportunity to kick off our season, to welcome new members into the Best Foundation community, and to reconnect with people that maybe we haven't seen in a while. We'll have the chance to show off our student successes in work, and you all will have an opportunity to support our students financially for the upcoming year. Over the past 2 years, we have raised $7,000 from this event each year. And our goal, with your help, is to push over the next milestone this time around and hopefully hit $8,000 to support our operations throughout the coming year. You'll see in the link, you will see the link in the chat box on either Facebook or YouTube, which you can use to make a donation at any time throughout this broadcast. And your donation means a lot to us in order to support our operations. Additionally, we're going to throw in a little bit of reality TV style with donations, is that if you would like a performance or you're like listening about a topic or something clicks with you, please feel free to send a donation during or after the performance that you enjoy to show your support and kind of make a vote for which one that you like the best. General overview of tonight's program is you're going to see some awesome performances from some of our students. You'll get to hear some personal stories from members of our community. We'll take a look back at the year and look at what some of our accomplishments were, and then we'll peek forward and see what we have planned going on. And don't forget that throughout the entire broadcast, you will be able to engage with us in the chat. So after performance, if you really like it, you can throw some hearts, some thumbs up, an emoji, whatever you'd like, or a comment, and we'll be featuring some of those comments here as well. And I will also be asking for some specific questions just to get us all engaged. But that's enough for me for now. I would very much like to introduce you to our first performer of the day, which is Janina Petrova. She is a 12th grade student at the Dr. Petter Baron Math School of Varna and has competed in BEST for over 4 years. Her favorite category has been original oratory, but she's also was featured in our debate showcase last January, where she competed with her team in Sofia. However, oratory is her favorite, as she says that it's always given her a space to discover new ideas and show them to the world. Today, she will be performing her piece, Human, in which she explores what makes us humans so special. So without further ado, Janina.
So, we're humans, right? What's up with that? How did we get here? Why did we get here? Hello, my name is Janice and I'm almost 18 years old. And given the lifespan of the average Bulgarian, this means it's time for my quarter-life crisis. One of the questions that often comes up during such crises is, how did we as a species get here? What makes us human? And I'm so happy to announce that I finally found the answer to this question. But because we have to save the best for last, let's first discuss some non-answers. The first non-answer I came across was, humans are the only species of animal to experience feelings and emotions. That's what separates us from other animals. That's wrong, and we've known it's wrong for the longest time. Many scientists and philosophers, including neuroscientist Jaap Panksepp, behaviorist John Watson, and Charles Darwin, Pythagoras, and Aristotle, believe that animals experience emotion. And while that three reasoned less scientifically and more philosophically, the reasoning of other scientists was very scientific indeed. With testing on rodents, primates, cats, dogs, and birds, among other animals, they concluded that actually animals can experience emotions. With rats, great apes, magpies, and hens, among others, displaying empathy, and some dogs experiencing clinical depression. Anyway, if it's not feelings that separates us from animals, what could it be? Perhaps it's the ability to communicate using languages. And you'd think that, and you'd be wrong, for a different reason this time. Because for one, while complex speech does separate us from animals in a way, ways of communication that resemble languages are found in other species as well, most notably some primates and most birds. For two, besides, complex speech isn't the full answer. It's part of something greater, something somehow more complicated than groups of people collectively deciding to open their mouths, produce some sounds, and assign meanings to them in the same way. The next non-answer I'd like to highlight is self-awareness or self-cognition. While it seems like it could be the definite answer, studies have at least suggested that it might not be. Look, in neuroscience, one of the easiest and simplest ways to test for self-awareness in an animal is to take your animal, put it in front of a mirror, and wait until it recognizes its own reflection. If it does, it's self-aware. And if it doesn't, it's not self-aware. It was literally this simple. Animals who do recognize their own reflection include magpies, dolphins, elephants, chimpanzees, and, perhaps most surprisingly of all, the species of fish, the cleaner rats. The latter, as many scientists reckon, that the mirror test says less about animal self-awareness and more about the way humans think about it. Since our primary sense is the sense of vision, it'd be logical to think that humans would come up with a way of testing self-awareness through vision. The thing is, however, not all animals have vision as their primary sense. For example, birds will distinguish between their own songs and other songs with their primary sense of hearing, and countless other animals will distinguish between each other using their sense. Furthermore, some scientists have suggested that self-awareness may actually exist on a sliding scale, from none to partial, then to full self-awareness. To quote neuroscientist Alex Jordan, the person to discover this about the cleaner rats, just because a fish can recognize its own reflection doesn't also mean it can contemplate philosophy. So, it's not feelings, it's not self-awareness, and it's not speech. Then what is it? Perhaps it's the ability to think abstractly. Now, this is a very interesting topic, and I could talk for hours on end about how language affects the way we think about how we think and how animals think, regardless of whether animals are actually capable of thinking. And studies like the one conducted by psychologist Jennifer Funk in the autumn of 2013, and the countless studies published in a peer-reviewed journal, literally titled Animal Cognition, conclude that they definitely are capable of thinking. But the main point is, for most people, abstract thinking involves language related to non-tangible things, things like feelings, qualities, abstract concepts, systems of those things, etc. And the fact that most other animals haven't developed a system of language, and none of them have developed it past a system of warnings, doesn't mean that animals aren't capable of abstract thought. It just means that we humans are the only species with a verbal reaction to abstract thinking, and that is the real kicker in this answer. But that is the result of elaborate language, and elaborate language, as I mentioned earlier, is part of something bigger. Speaking of, or even is that big thing? Are you ready to find out what makes us the species we are? Drum roll, please. It's cooking. Cooking is what makes us human. And in an evolutionary plan, it's also what made us human. It predates everything I've mentioned before. The discovery of feelings, the development of language. Hell, it even predates the Homo sapiens itself. Scientists have found, archaeologists really, have found evidence of cooked food and cooking vessels from over 1 million years ago. For reference, the Homo sapiens species evolved around about 300,000 years ago. And I'm sure everybody knows the story of how it was discovered. And I'm putting story in quotes here because, let's face it, it's probably not true. But it's still a good story to tell that at some point in the vastly distant past, probably after a bushfire, some person found a burnt animal on the ground, decided to taste the meat off of it, and they thought it was like the best thing that ever tasted. Oh my God. And so we started roasting our meat and boiling our vegetables. But Jackie, I hear you ask, how did cooking help us exactly? Fear not, I will explain how. Cooking food allows us to process the nutrients in it way faster. And that's especially true with soups, by the way, side note. Mainly because everything you've boiled off of there, you're boiling, stays in the broth. And that's why every culture on this earth has a type of soup. But this meant two things. Not cooking, not soups. Cooking meant two things. First, we had to learn to use the fire to cook, which led to many things on its own, good and bad alike. And second, that people didn't need teeth, jaws, and oral muscles as strong as they had them before. So, over the course of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, the size of our mouths shrank. Conversely, the size of our brains grew. We could finally start thinking about things other than collecting and consuming food. For example, crafting tools, growing our own food, organizing the production of food. People started to live around where the food was, obviously they would, which led to lots of people living in the same place. And this all eventually led to all the great things we know and love about the greatest civilizations around the Mediterranean, including writing, trade, countries, armies, conquests, calendars, houses, and even the apartment I'm in right now. And honestly, it's mind-boggling to think that all of this came from a person deciding that, hey, this fire thing doesn't seem as scary. Let's try and cook our food with it again. Anyway, that's my existential crisis dealt with. And whenever you're cooking anything, no matter if it's frying, roasting, baking, or boiling a packet of instant ramen at 2 a.m., failing miserably, and burning the package. Remember, your ancestors are proud of you, and this is the real peak of human evolution, an experience passed down from human to human to human. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Janina, for that awesome performance. Everyone in the chat, maybe comment your favorite cooked food dish that maybe Janina's speech inspired you by. Janina performed in the national tournament this past year, and with this oratory, she did win first place. Very well deserved. Thank you so much for joining us. And for all of you that are just checking in, welcome to Best Summer Slam 2022. My name is Julia Lynch, and I will be your host, and we have an awesome program for you tonight. For those in the chat, members of our best community, I would love if you would be able to share your favorite memory in the chat. While I'll give you time to write down your favorite memory in the chat, either on Facebook or on the YouTube chat, I can already see some supportive teammates and former coaches rooting Jackie on. So we love this participation, and please keep it up as your audience. I mean, you as the audience are really important to this show. Awesome. Seeing some great food, grilled artichokes from our judge coordinator, Amanda. Kathy, Jackie's teammate, says that brownies are her favorite cooked dish. Wonderful. So whatever your favorite best memory is, please feel free to add that in now. And while you do that, I would love to tell you a little bit about what we have been up to here at the Best Foundation over the past year. And as everyone knows, this past year has been very dynamic with some in-person learning and events, but also an opportunity for Best to continue working on our virtual programming that we started 2 years ago and set the stage for in-person events. We saw a bunch of changes that really helped us as well, with the return of many Fulbright English teaching assistants to the country who served as coaches for their teams. Team sizes grew and people were really able to reconnect with one another in person. We were able to host a bunch of events also in person, including our first ever weekend-long coaches training in Sofia, which gave our new coaches a chance to learn all about Best and all about our events, and an in-person student leader training, which we'll talk about more later. And just to give a recap of some of the major events that we've held this past academic year, we had many tournaments, including 4 regional tournaments, which were all supported online. And we had an average of 164 students participate in each regional event, which is incredible. And we saw many new teams join in the spring, Pernick, Smolyan, and some teams from Sofia, which was great. At Nationals, we were so excited to be able to host it predominantly in person at the American University in Bulgaria. In Blagoevgrad, we held a hybrid tournament and had 219 students attend with 57 judges. It was the first time many of our students had competed in person, including my entire team had never competed in person. And it was just a weekend full of memories. And in March, we had an awesome experience with Balkan Voices, which is our international original oratory competition, where we hosted 49 students from 5 different countries in the Balkans in partnership with the AUBG and with the sponsorship of the U.S. Embassy in Belgrade, which was an incredible event. Overall, we've seen really, really awesome successes from our students and our team here at the Best Foundation. And I just want to thank all of you, from volunteers to coaches to students to donors, for playing a role in that. As I take a look at the chat to see if we have any additional best memories, I will also remind you that the link to donate is now posted in the chat. So if you like Janina's performance or you like learning more about what we did, your donation means a lot. And for example, just 17 euros covers the cost of a one-night stay for weekend training for a coach, which is obviously very helpful. Let's take a look at some of our favorite memories. Oh, it looks like we're still caught up in the food, which is perfectly fine. We have more people agreeing with brownies, and Bailey, a former coach of the Dr. Petra Baron Math School, says banitsa is his winner. So thank you all very much for that participation. And now I would like to welcome our second performer, who is Madeleine Georgieva. She is an 11th grade student at the Ludmil Stoyanov Language High School in Blagoevgrad. Her favorite category is poetry, but outside of best, she likes bowling, tennis, and spending time with friends. Today, she will perform the poems What Guys Look For in Girls and 9 Things I Would Like to Tell Every Teenage Girl. With that, Madeleine, thank you very much.
When I first learned that no one could ever love me more than me, a world of happiness previously unseen was discovered. Because somewhere along the line of aging and scrutiny and time, I was taught to despise myself, but to make sure I kept myself beautiful so someone would love me someday. So I could belong to someone someday, because that's the most important thing a little girl could ever want. Right? Have you ever felt like you're not beautiful enough? Are you trying your best to fit in the standards and the expectations of people? You shouldn't, because your worth is not the way you look. It's the beautiful thoughts you think and the daring dreams you dream. This is the main theme in the poems What Guys Look For in Girls by Savannah Brown and 9 Things I Would Like to Tell to Every Teenage Girl by Melissa Newman Evans. Enjoy it. I was 13 the first time I was embarrassed about my body. Of course, it would not be the last. I remember tears streaming down my eyes, hoping, praying to something that I could look beautiful enough, braces and all, for the ruthless boys who told me I was worthless. And I would go home and put on a sweatshirt with my eyes closed, denying myself the right to be shown myself, because I didn't dare insinuate beauty in regards to something so insulting as my body. But we all end up with our heads between our knees, because the only place you feel safe is inside skin. We've been taught to hate by society, to choose our overconfidence and feed us our own flaws. And sometimes when I need to meet the me that loves me, I can't find her. But it's meant by a curse of consistent, egotistical narcissist. But since when will self-solicitude a sin? Change this physicality and doubt one. Don't you dare shed the notion you could be anything beyond paper fine skin, flashy teeth, and fingernails. Echoing accusations of not good enough, never good enough. Have you ever felt so numb that it hurts? You can't surrender to them. You gotta remember you're the only thing you ever truly have. And no, I don't mean your body. They'll go bad someday no matter what you do. I mean you. I mean the way your bright eyes go wild when you smile. And your laughter is so melodic, it's a song. And you don't need any dad pills to slim down your kindness. And when you start to drown in these petty expectations, you better re-examine the miracle of your existence. Because we live in a world where the media pulls us out, nurses us, and teaches our first words. Skinny, pretty, girl, soft, quiet, pretty, boy, manly, muscles, pretty. But I don't care whether it's your look, your gender, your weight, your skin, or whether your love lies. None of that matters, because standards don't define you. 1. The world is trying to kill you. It is trying to do this by stealing your voice. Kill it back. 2. You're the best thing in every room. You'll notice I did not say the prettiest. You're also the prettiest thing in every room, but that thing doesn't matter. That thing is the world trying to kill you. 3. You will never completely kill the idea that your body is the most important thing about you. That thing is everywhere. And if you're alive and hearing me say these words right now, then you've already heard it too many times. That's it. 4. The best hairstyle is the one who helps you to get out of bed every morning. The best makeup is the one that traps a knife for you. The best brand of denim is the one that fits and goes with your combat boots. Know that high heels make perfectly acceptable combat boots. Converse make excellent combat boots. And yes, combat boots are superlative combat boots. 5. Wear whatever you want. Look however you want. You know, who can screw themselves if they don't like it? Everyone. 6. You remember that metaphor about killing you being still in your voice? Sometimes the world will actually try to kill you. You never deserve it. Telling you to be ready is pointless. Telling you to prepare yourself is just another way to blame you when it happens, which is why 7. You need to hold up your sisters. 8. Everyone is your sister. The girl with jacket teeth and stricter jeans is your sister. The girl who's cool girls is your sister. The girl who used to be called Jake, but it's now called Jane, is your sister. The cheerleaders who are trying so hard to kill you are still your sisters. The world is trying to kill each and every one of you. And if you do not hold each other up, no one else will. 9. Someday, someone is gonna call you a woman. It's gonna be the most terrifying thing to think about yourself. But recognize it for the Medal of Honor that it is. It means that you have survived, that everything that has tried to kill you has failed. I'm sorry. I should have called you all women at the beginning of this poem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madeline, for that awesome performance. Madeline was one of our incredible finalists at our national tournament, and I think we all can see why. Her message about support and holding each other up is something that we hope that people are able to find here in the BEST community. And thank you so much for speaking about such an important topic. I see tons of support happening here in the chat functions and some donations coming in. So thank you all very, very much. And we love to see all the interaction. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about one of my passions or my specialties, which is debate. And we're obviously not going to have you all sit here for an entire debate, but I do get a chance to tell you a little bit about the summer camp that I served as the director for last month. And we were so excited to have our second annual BEST Foundation Summer Camp through the generosity of the Bulgarian American Fulbright Commission. This was a week-long sleepaway camp in Donji Luža, right outside of Sofia, where we hosted 29 high school students from all over the country, including 14 different cities, to come and learn about debate and kind of just join our BEST community. We had staff members from basically all over the world, from people coming in from various countries to come and support our students. And we also featured 4 guest lecturers that were able to enrich our program with their expertise. Throughout the week, students were engaged in lectures, the guest speakers, various activities and practice debates, while also having classic camp activities through their recreational time. Halfway through the week, we took a mini field trip to Cocolandia, the ropes course, and at the end of the week, the students hiked up to a monastery to get incredible views and kind of just let off all the steam that had been building. This was an awesome opportunity for both the students and the staff to all connect with one another in person. And I, for one, am so excited to see them again very soon and to, of course, see the results of all the hard work that they put in over the coming months. So thank you very much for all of the support for the summer camp. And I would like to, again, take this moment to kind of express a little bit more about what your financial support means to us. Thinking about basically €100 could cover all of our technical expenses for one entire tournament, which when we have only 5 or 6 tournaments a year, this amount of money goes a long way. So we appreciate your support. The link is in the chat. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our third performer, who is Slavcho Balabanov. He is a recent graduate of Lumil Stoyanov Foreign Language High School in Blagoevgrad. And over his time in BEST, he participated in oratory and debate. He is currently a student at the American University in Bulgaria, planning to major in computer science and literature with a minor in philosophy. His favorite category, which he will share with you now, is oratory, is because it allows him to write his own piece, giving him more room for creativity. And now I would like to introduce Slavcho, which he will be performing his oratory. Art is neat, I think.
So imagine this. You're scrolling through your feed and you see news about an art piece. What the piece was a banana duct taped to a wall in an art gallery. This isn't art, you say. For this, back in my day, you would get duct taped to a cross, damn it. Quickly, however, you realize you're not a real person, as you exist only as a rhetorical tool to introduce this idea. As soon as the paragraph is over, you will disappear. Oh God, I'm scared. Oh no. Intermission 1. Scarlet poppy, lonely, grieving. Among the lush fields it has blossomed, and its fiery look hopelessly sticks to a weed grass. Paragraph 1. Definition. So, what exactly is art? As we all know, this is a very easy question that no philosophers have ever argued over, and I'm totally not overshooting by trying to answer. So, putting what I am not doing aside, I would like to very loosely define art around the piece mentioned earlier in the speech. The banana duct taped to a wall is a real piece titled Comedian by Mauricio Catalan. It caused quite a stir upon his display in a Miami art gallery when the usual complaints were made that it wasn't real art. Within the frenzied arguments, however, one fact stood true. It had sparked a conversation. People were discussing what art is, whether this was or wasn't art, and so on. This isn't the first time that something like this has happened. In 1917, French artist Marcel Duchamp submitted a piece to a New York art exhibition titled Fountain. What it was a signed porcelain urinal. In normal circumstances, this would be a simple object. But when the context is changed and it is placed in an art gallery, we begin to question why it is there. And in precisely this questioning lies the reason why these pieces too are art. To quote Duchamp, it is not what you see that is the art is the gap. So art can be loosely defined as some type of communication, using performance or creation as your language. The idea that is being communicated by a piece and the one that connects you to it. The gap. Then, intermission 2. Unhappiness. Thoughts tormented. Why did I sprout? Why did I bloom? I will rot here without reason, not needed in this world. Paragraph 2. Purpose? Trying to define art through some philosophizing is all well and good, but one question remains. What is the purpose of art? We discuss, consume, and create it all the time, but why we do so is rather vague. So what, if any, is the use of art? Intermission 3. But a gentle breeze blew, and the scarlet color spoke. Of grief and boiling pain, it softly whispered. Voice 1. The poet. I hear you begin to fancy yourself as somewhat of an artist. A thankless job, really. But art doesn't find its purpose in the material after all. I suppose there is one thing that unites all of us poets. The incredible need to have sex with Oscar Wilde. Though I suppose art for its own sake is nice enough. Paragraph 3. Art for art's sake. The 19th century movement of aestheticism had the core notion of rejecting the idea that art should have a social or political purpose. Instead, believing it should be a pursuit of beauty not confined by ethics or politics. This can be best exemplified with the popular slogan from the time, art for art's sake. This rejection of moral consideration in art makes a lot of sense, as, after all, morality itself is quite subjective. So trying to define art's purpose according to it would be a lost cause. There is, however, an issue with this idea. Friedrich Nietzsche was a prominent critic of aestheticism, not due to moral considerations, as Nietzsche himself rejected most ethics, but because art cannot exist purely for its own sake. Whether the artist does it intentionally or not, the final piece will in some way present their values. As by the very fact that you've chosen to create one piece and not another, you are making a judgment. So, art cannot purely separate itself from ideas or from society. Voice 2, the dictator. Good day to you. No, stay right where you are. I hear you weren't happy with my recent order to burn those paintings. No need to speak. I know what you think, that I am destroying art, but I ask you, did I destroy art? Or did the paint on that canvas? Such degeneracy cannot be called art. I am the only defender that art needs. Paragraph 4. Art for society's sake. There's also the idea that art is to serve society by teaching people what the proper morals of it are. Plato was a major proponent of this, as is shown by the fact that in the utopian society he presents in the Republic, he describes how poetry would only be used to make people more devoted to morals and the state and less scared of death. At the very core of this idea lies the danger with it. If art is to serve some kind of moral duty, when it doesn't fulfill that, it can become an excuse for censorship. Few would think of Nazi Germany, a country where a poet's place was ditch and job description corpse, as a place where art can flourish. Nevertheless, the Nazis fancied themselves as appreciators of art. They simply didn't consider avant-garde creations as such. Much like many today dismiss modern art, the same can be said of tradition's fascist protectors. Voice 3, the punk. We need resistance, people. That's what art should be. We don't need hippie artists, fascist artists, or hippie fascist artists like that one Dead Kennedy song. No. What we need is art for truth. Art that fights the power. Paragraph 5. Art for revolution's sake. Many throughout history have sought to use art as a weapon to change society. Bertolt Brecht was a German playwright whose plays would often break the very structure of one in order to make a political point. So, the purpose of art in this case would be political change. His main tactic was to remind people that what they were watching was a show on a stage and not real events. So, for example, if I were to pretend to have forgotten parts of my speech, that reminds you that it was an oratory that I had to memorize, meaning that you are engaging more with what my creative process was while working on it. It also has the added benefit that if I ever do forget my speech, I can pretend I just tricked you, a little thing I like to call artistic gaslighting. Another tactic he would often use was title cards that explained what was going to happen in each scene. Almost makes you think where I said the name of each paragraph out loud. Voice 4, the merchant. Ah yes, sold him that painting. It was for him anyway. By the way, did you see that new Banksy piece? Wonderful critique of consumer culture. It'll go for so much when we cut it out and sell it on the market. Paragraph 6, art for my pocket's sake. An unfortunate reality is that in modern society, art's function is often commodified. Going back to the banana piece from earlier, while I am willing to defend it as being art, it beyond doubt exemplifies the inherent classism of the art world. The piece was sold for $120,000, an amount of money most people don't make in a year. The avant-garde is now a marketing tool. You can use your art for rebellion, sure, but how much will that be worth when it is sold back to you? Any symbol of revolution can ultimately be recuperated within a capitalist system. There is, however, a way to resist this. Jules Deleuze, and I swear this is the last new thing I'm bringing into this, developed the philosophy of a minor literature. That being a creative piece that uses the tools of a political or social majority in order to express the ideas of the minority. By using the artistic genres of those in power to express your own rebellion, you create a new artistic identity in the process that may eventually be commodified, but as it exists for a short while, is true resistance. And it is this precise cycle of commodification and identity creation that keeps art alive. Voice 5, you. Well, I found myself in a real predicament. I'm at the last paragraph and I don't have a concrete answer for the whole purpose of art thing. All my characters have left me too, so I can no longer pretend I'm fictional people, something well-adjusted members of society absolutely do. So now it's just me. And also, paragraph 7. Absurdity, death, and puppies. So, you remember when I said that Deleuze would be the last new thinker I'm bringing into this? Yeah, I lied. Albert Camus is a pretty cool French guy, I'm told, who, aside from being insanely hot, also wrote a bunch of books on something he called the absurd. The absurd in Camus' philosophy is defined as the inherent contradiction between man's want for meaning and order in life and the universe that doesn't give us any of those things. Sometime around the 50s, Camus came up with an idea for a new book which he would call The First Man. He was sure it would be his best work yet, his masterpiece, his magnum opus. And then he died, so that sucks. But in his last moments, he did create. And maybe here we find art's purpose: to rebel against all, to create in a world where creations don't last, to mold new ideas even knowing that death awaits us at any moment. And this rebellion isn't for others to carry out. We too are alive, and while we are, we can create and consume art. So just do it. Find art you value and truly appreciate it. Hell, maybe even make something yourself. After all, you've only got so much time. Then, intermission 4. They will sprout from your seed, fiery flowers will bloom, and the scarlet poppy will go on forever, a sweet bouquet of spring. Poem Red Poppy by Ivan Sukachev. Thank you.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Slavcho, for your performance and all that you've done to contribute to the BEST community over your time. We can't wait to see all the amazing things you do in the future. And just like I always feel after a BEST performance, I really learned something. Morgan Rowe, our tournament policy coordinator, put in the chat that she likes the term artistic gaslighting that you used, and she feels like she'll be using that line in the future, which I definitely agree. So thank you so much, and thank you all for tuning in to our Summer Slam. Next, I would like to tell you a little bit about one of the other things that makes BEST Foundation unique, which is our Student Leader Program. This program trains students participating in BEST to be team leaders, mentors, and active servants in their home communities. Student leaders are nominated by their BEST coach for outstanding leadership, encouragement, and commitment to their team, and serve for 1 year as what we like to call SLs. During the year, the SLs attend trainings and conferences, serve as team captains, and complete, with the help of their school, a community project that identifies a cause in their local community, and they work together to make a positive change. This year, the SLs from Hoskovo were the Student Leaders of the Year with their work with the Hoskovo Zoo to secure better living conditions for the animals. We can see really how our students make such a change in their communities. Over this past year, we saw some awesome changes thanks to our student leader coordinator, Gabrielle Casio, and our student leader intern, Villian Donova, who is now our co-coordinator. They offered virtual office hours so our students could come and ask questions related to BEST, related to the SL program, or just generally chat about other things going on in their lives. Also, BEST management team members were able to attend community projects, which was awesome. And overall, the program just creates an incredibly inclusive environment for our students and our community. So thank you all so much to our student leaders, both previous and our student leader coordinators for this upcoming year with Villian and Villiana. We can't wait to see all the awesome programming that you have coming up, starting with student leader training the weekend of October 7th. So looking forward to that. And now, for those of you who are just joining us, I would like to remind you that this is an opportunity for you to vote for your favorite performer by giving a donation, which the link is available in the chats. So we just saw Slavcho perform. So if you liked what he said, if you were curious about some of those terms like artistic gaslighting, or if he made you pause and think, or as one person in the chat said, scream and cry, then feel free to throw in a donation to help support our students. And lastly, which is almost kind of sad, is that we have our final performer of the evening, which is Valerie Marinova, who is a student at the Aleko Konstantinov School in Providence. Today she'll be performing her prose, but she has also competed in duo as well, which was her other favorite. Outside of Best, she says that she has way too many other interests, but her top three are music, painting, and acting. And she's participated in Best as soon as she found out about it. In fact, since she was an 8th grader. Now we are also sad to send her off to the university in Sofia studying national security and defense. But she has graced us with her presence one last time to perform her prose piece, Joker, the Origin.
Is it just me, or is it getting crazier out there? I've been using this as a journal, but also a joke diary. Funny thoughts or observations. Did I tell you I'm pursuing a career in stand-up comedy? I think I did. Anyway, here it is one. I just hope my death makes more sense than my life. I just don't want to feel so bad anymore. Funny thing, I heard this song on the radio the other day, and the guy was singing that his name was Carnival. Which is funny, because that was my clown name at work. Until a while ago, I didn't even know if I even existed. It was like nobody saw me. You don't listen, do you? You just always ask the same questions all over again. How is your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts, but you don't listen anyway. I said, for my whole life, I didn't even know if I even existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice. How do you cope in a world where the system abandons you and leaves you alone? To understand this feeling, today you will see the life of the most famous fictional psychopath in the history, beginning with the murder of 3 wealthy boys, followed by massive riots, and ending with complete mental breakdown. Today, you will learn what it's like to be the other guy and lose yourself in hatred towards the world. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Joker by Todd Phillips and Scott Silver. Enjoy. Okay, you might have seen the clip about Let's Guess when we first played it 2 weeks ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Joker. So, Joker, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that you aren't political. Yeah, that's right, Murray. I'm not political. I just want to make people laugh. And how is that going for you? Do you want to tell us a joke? Of course, yes. Okay, here, this one. Knock, knock. Oh, come on, Joker. A knock, knock joke and you have to read it. I just want to get it right. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's the police, Mom. Your son has been hit by a drunk driver. He's dead. Okay, that's not funny. That's not the kind of humor we do on this show. Oh, very funny, Murray. It's been a rough few months for me, after the police came to question me because I killed those 3 Wall Street boys. And I'm waiting for the punchline. There is no punchline. It's not a joke. You're serious, aren't you? You're telling us you killed those young men? Why should we believe you? Because I had nothing left to lose, Murray. Nothing can hurt me anymore. My life is nothing but a comedy. This is my fate, and it was always my fate. Okay, I think I understand. You did this to become a symbol, to start a movement. Oh, come on, Murray. Look, do I look like the kind of clown who would start a movement? I killed both guys because they were awful. Everybody's so awful these days. It's enough to make anyone crazy. Oh, why is everybody so upset about this, guys? If it was me dying on the sidewalk, you would walk right over me. Have you seen what it's like outside, Murray? Have you actually leave the studio? Everybody just yells and screams at each other. Nobody's civil anymore. Nobody thinks what it's like to be the other guy. You think men like Thomas Wayne, men at ease, ever think what it's like to be a guy like me? To be anybody but themselves? They don't. They think that we'll just sit down and take it like good little boys, and without we one werewolf and go wild. Woo! So much self-pity out there. It almost sounds like you're making excuses for killing those young men. Not everybody's awful. You're awful, Murray. Playing my video, inviting me on the show. You just wanted to make fun of me. You're like the rest of them, Murray. Everything comes too easy for you. Oh, wait a second, Paul. You don't know the first thing about me. Look what happened because of what you did. There are riots out there. 2 policemen are in critical condition. People are dying. How about another joke, Murray? Huh? What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a system that abandons him and treats him like trash? I'll tell you what you get. You get what you deserve. Die, die, die. Good night, everyone. And remember, that's life. Thank you.
Wow, incredible. You never fail to make everyone really feel something. For me, that feeling is goosebumps. That was an incredible performance, and I think was one of the top performances at Nationals this year. So we will truly miss you this year as well, Valerie, and best of luck to you in your studies at uni, and please come back to judge for us every once in a while. So as our program is coming to an end very soon, I did want to take a chance to tell you all a little bit about the things that we have planned for the year ahead. But for now, I really hope that we were able to show you a piece of what BEST has to offer. I would love to take this time to thank our participants, Janina, Madeleine, Slavcho, and Valerie, for their heartfelt performances and their dedication to BEST throughout the years. And thank you to everyone who took the time to join us and show your support for BEST's mission. But not so fast. We still have the year ahead to look forward to. We have some really big plans for the upcoming year, starting with welcoming Vanya in as our new executive director, which is going to be incredible for both the BEST Foundation and for our students. At the end of this month, we will be again hosting an in-person coaches training. And then the weekend after that, we have student leader training as well. So very action-packed here over the next couple months. And we are so excited, students, coaches, judges, listen up, to return to in-person tournaments for the fall. Fall West will be held in Blagoevgrad and Fall East in Burgos. And we cannot wait to see you there for our students, judges, and entire community to get back together and connect with one another one more time. We're also really looking forward to various international opportunities, including through Balkan Voices and maybe some debate programming if we're lucky. So again, thank you all so much for joining us. If you'd still like to make a donation, please feel free to visit the Global Giving website at that same link over the coming days to still contribute to this event and help to make our programming all the better. And if you feel so inclined, you can send it to a friend or two as well. But before I sign off, I would like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to Daria Stoyanova, who not only was the producer and organizer for this event, but is also the marketing, content, and translation coordinator at the BEST Foundation. She has worked tirelessly to coordinate this event, and this would not have happened without all of your hard work. So thank you, Daria. I see you on the screen. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope to see you soon. And that's all for now. Have a great rest of your day. And back to you, Daria.
Thank you so much, Julia. And thank you so much to all of our amazing performers. Madeleine, Swafto, Valerie, and Janina really gave their all, and I think you could see it on the screen. We saw a lot of positive comments in chat, and we had a lot of donations come in, so thank you all so much. We just like to remind you that the link won't be closed, and you can keep on donating, you can still keep on showing your support for all those amazing performances you saw tonight. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you really were moved by tonight's performances as well as I was. And don't forget, your contributions will help hundreds of students this year. So we'd really like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Best Foundation wouldn't be what it is without you. I hope all of you have a great evening in Bulgaria and a great day to those of you watching us from the US. Thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye.